These pardons from Joe Biden today will do a lot to shape his legacy for his whole presidency. This one act today. It says statement from President Joe Biden on providing clemency for nearly 1,500 individuals on home confinement and pardons for 39 individuals convicted of nonviolent crimes. This was released today, December 12th, 2024. America was built on the promise of possibility and second chances. As president, I have the great privilege of extending mercy to people who have demonstrated remorse and rehabilitation, restoring opportunity for Americans to participate in daily life and contribute to their communities, and taking steps to remove sentencing disparities for nonviolent offenders, especially those convicted of drug offenses. That is why today I am pardoning 39 people who have shown successful rehabilitation and have shown commitment to making their community stronger and safer. I'm also commuting the sentences of nearly 1,500 people who are serving long prison sentences, many of whom would receive lower sentences if charged under today's laws, policies, and practices. These commutation recipients who were placed on home confinement during the COVID pandemic have successfully reintegrated into their families and communities and have shown that they deserve a second chance. I will take more steps in the weeks ahead. My administration will continue reviewing clemency petitions to advance equal justice under the law, promote public safety, support rehabilitations and reentry, and provide meaningful second chances. So that was the breaking news this morning. And I know that it's going to be talked about for days to come, but this will definitely shape his legacy. Now, we all saw the breaking news when he pardoned his son, but the fact that he's out here pardoning people, like he said, that would have been charged or had different sentences if they were charged today versus back in the day before laws changed. And that is definitely going to save some of his favorability ratings and going forward about how he is talked about when it comes to history. All right, so obviously this is being talked about on many different platforms and different media outlets, but this one's from CNN. Biden grants clemency for nearly 1,500 people, the biggest single day act of clemency in modern history. And I have a feeling that they are going to be scrambling to get a lot of other people pardoned before the Trump administration takes a hold, because Trump and them will only be worried about cronies, rich people, and that kind of thing. Biden seems like he's going to be more or less worried about the everyday type of person that may not be rich, like the Trump administration will be targeting. President Joe Biden announced Thursday that he's commuting the sentences of some 1,500 individuals and pardoning 39 people convicted of nonviolent crimes, making a broad use of the presidential clemency power just weeks before the end of Biden's administration. White House officials are billing Thursday's move as the biggest single-day act of clemency in modern history. The president, who has come under growing pressure to grant more clemencies before he leaves office, and who controversially granted a pardon to his son Hunter earlier this month, also promised that additional action will be announced in the weeks to come. Now, here is part of his statement, so I won't reread that part. The nearly 1,500 individuals whose long sentences are being commuted Thursday were placed on home confinement during the COVID-19 pandemic and were deemed to have demonstrated a clear commitment to rehabilitation and reintegration into their communities, sources said. The 39 people being pardoned were convicted of nonviolent crimes and considered to have demonstrated records of meaningfully giving back to the country. They are individuals who have secured employment, advanced their education, served as caretakers for their children and family members, and have really reintegrated into the tapestry of their communities, an administration official familiar with the announcement told CNN. They include individuals who faced incredible challenges in life and have really shown resilience in seeking to overcome those challenges. While CNN has not obtained a full list of names of the clemency recipients, sources provided several examples of individuals being pardoned. Among them, a decorated military veteran described as having devoted much of his time helping members of his community, including the sick and elderly, a nurse who is said to have helped during natural disasters and was at the forefront of vaccination efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as an addiction counselor recognized for his dedication to mentoring young men of color. Thursday's announcement is expected to be widely celebrated by human rights activists, advocacy groups, Democratic lawmakers, and the families of those receiving the commutations and pardons. As the president's first term approaches its end, calls for Biden to more aggressively and widely exercise his clemency power before the incoming president Donald Trump takes office have only grown louder, including by taking several dozen inmates off of federal death row. Biden has publicly opposed capital punishment. Biden has previously pardoned military veterans convicted of having gay relations, formerly a crime under military law, and also issued pardons for those convicted of marijuana possession. Thursday's news comes on the heels of Biden's decision to issue a full and unconditional pardon of his son Hunter after repeatedly insisting over the course of several months that he would not do so. The move sparked an uproar, including among some of the president's allies and fellow Democrats who questioned his decision to renege on his word. Anita Dunn, a former senior advisor to the president, said last week that the move struck her as exceptionally poor timing. Biden's pardoning of his son, the administration official insisted, has not shaped his thinking on the use of his clemency power overall. The president has shown his views on clemency and how he can use the clemency power to make our country more equitable, more just, repair some of the past wrongdoings that we've seen in the criminal justice system. And that continues to be how the president is viewing the petitions that he is and will be reviewing over the coming weeks, they said. With less than 6 weeks until the end of Biden's term, the president is expected to provide further relief. I will take more steps in the weeks ahead, Biden said. My administration will continue reviewing clemency petitions to advance equal justice under the law, promote public safety, support rehabilitation and reentry, and provide meaningful second chances. The president has been consulting with White House counsel Ed Siskel and the lawyers at the counsel's office about a range of clemency options, sources said. The White House counsel's office has also been in consultation with the Justice Department's Office of the Pardon Attorney. So that's where we are right now. It is interesting. It will be interesting to watch how Republicans and MAGA people respond to this, especially when we know that they are really wanting the January 6er, the insurrectionists, to get pardoned. So how will that push up against these people getting pardoned that were nonviolent? It's going to be interesting to watch. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts on all of this. And don't forget to like, comment, and share. I had to go look up this article that was attached to this Mitch McConnell spot by Brian Tyler Cohen. Now, the quote from Mitch McConnell says, "We're in a very, very dangerous world right now, reminiscent of before World War II," he says. "Even the slogan is the same, America first." That was what they said in the 30s. And the wild thing is, like this person put the title up here, and who exactly is responsible for that? You demented turtle. What Mitch McConnell has done has ushered in this climate of vitriol and this poison from MAGA Republicans. He is responsible. He has been the architect of what has come in. And now he's saying, whoa, 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 this is a bridge too far. All right, let's look at this article. It says, Mitch McConnell's final act. Will the longtime Republican leader be a thorn in Trump's side? Mitch McConnell is the longest-serving Republican leader in the U.S. Senate, a titan on Capitol Hill, and a living legend in his home state of Kentucky in the mold of Henry Clay. But in a speech in California last weekend, the 82-year-old senator was focused on his next, more mundane assignment, chairman of the Senate Subcommittee on Defense Appropriation, and he took clear aim at the isolationist foreign policy of the incoming president. With the party Ronald Reagan once led so capably, it is increasingly fashionable to suggest that the sort of global leadership he modeled is no longer America's place, McConnell said Saturday at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley. But let's be absolutely clear. America will not be made great again by those who are content to manage our decline. So how do we turn back this tide? It is certainly odd that the most consequential Republican congressional leader in decades feels the need to turn back a trend within his party so at odds with his own foreign policy vision. Yet there's no denying that Donald Trump's brand of nationalism dominates the GOP and is remaking the party's Senate conference, which has been much more immune from the populist swells than the freewheeling House of Representatives. But if his recent moves and comments are any indication, McConnell is seeking to use what are likely his final 2 years in office, though with his advanced age and health issues, including a fall at the Capitol on Tuesday, even finishing his term is no guarantee, to take a stand for his belief that American might should be rooted in the centrality of hard power and the importance of alliances and partnerships. Given that he is stepping down as conference leader on January 3rd and widely expected to retire from the Senate at the end of his term in 2 years, McConnell has the opportunity to take on one final legacy-defining role as one of the party's last remaining Reaganites and a protector of the Senate as an institution against Trump's designs to bend the Republican majority to his will. McConnell, of course, had an opportunity in 2021 to defend the integrity of the institutions of the government and our political system when Trump was on trial in the Senate after being impeached for his role in the January 6th riot. The Republican senator reportedly considered voting to convict the then former president, but eventually opted against it, while stating that the former president was morally responsible for what happened at the Capitol. Through his spokesman, McConnell declined to speak about his plans and thinking, but the Kentuckian has been dropping hints for weeks about how he'll proceed as a relatively free agent. It's been quite evident to me that a credible check on majority rule was worth preserving even when it didn't serve my party's immediate political interests, he said. And why is that important? Because wild swings in policy with every transfer of power don't serve the nation's interests. For consequential legislation to endure, it should have to earn the support of a broad coalition. In the same November statement on his Rules Committee post, McConnell noted that the new Republican majority has a responsibility to secure the future of the United States leadership and primacy. That presaged his more fulsome remarks in California last weekend about what American primacy in the world should look like, from a buildup of military capability to the U.S. resisting neo-Soviet imperialism in Ukraine, Iran-backed terrorist slaughter in Israel, and the PRC hegemony in the Indo-Pacific. In the near term, McConnell is undeniably a swing vote on many of President-elect Trump's controversial executive branch nominees. The notoriously reticent senator has kept quiet about his views on Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence, Kash Patel for FBI Director, and RFK Jr. for Health and Human Services Secretary. Contrast that silence with McConnell's statement after meeting Monday with Pam Bondi, Trump's backup selection for Attorney General. The American people deserve federal law enforcement authorities worthy of immense public trust, McConnell said. Ms. Bondi's extensive legal and executive experience make her well qualified to lead the Department of Justice. Such tea leaf reading doesn't guarantee he will ultimately oppose some or even any of Trump's nominees, but the assumption in Washington is that McConnell remains a viable no vote. Lobbyists keeping a close watch on the nomination fights include McConnell, along with moderate Republican Senators Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, as well as a wildcard freshman Senator John Curtis of Utah on the list of those who could block Trump nominees. Given the division of power in the Senate and the fact that Vice President-elect J.D. Vance would cast a deciding tie vote, the power of those four swing GOP votes alone is undeniable. McConnell's position is certainly top of the mind for many of Trump's allies in the broader MAGA movement. Critics such as Steve Bannon has suggested that Matt Gaetz, Trump's first pick to lead the Justice Department, withdrew from consideration due in large part to the background machinations by McConnell. Gaetz himself has also blamed the aforementioned group of four for tanking his nomination, according to the New York Times. The truth, however, is much closer to this. Opposition to Gaetz within the Republican conference appeared broad enough that the former Florida congressman quickly realized that he had no chance of success. Still, just a day after Gaetz withdrew, Bannon saw the hand of the outgoing Republican leader at work. The story is Mitch McConnell is still controlling the deal, he told the Dispatch. What's certainly the case is that McConnell is no longer bound by his obligations to the larger Republican conference or by fear of crossing the vindictive head of the party who despises him. The feeling is mutual. Could he shirk that responsibility as he did during the second impeachment and defer to partisan loyalty? Or could Trump and Washington be in for a surprise as we head into McConnell's final act? McConnell is responsible for a lot of the vitriol, toxicity, and poison that has gone on in government, in the federal government. He has been an architect in how the Supreme Court has been shaped and how his party became the party of no, how they won't work with the Democrats at all. Much of what Trump was able to do was because of the foundation that Mitch McConnell laid. Now this demented turtle will have this as his legacy. Trump is part of Mitch McConnell's legacy. You all join the conversation and let me know what you think of all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.